Hello, my lovey. Let's talk about you, you fabulous teacher. This is a stressful job. The stakes are high. The kids matter. And you have too many things to do. Stressful and workable. What? Yes. Let us dive in and talk about it. So, really, when you think about why we do anything, okay, whether it is doing our jobs, having a vocation or a mission or a passion for something, or even just getting through the day, we have to have a why because that the bigger why is what's going to keep us working towards whatever the thing is when things get gritty, unexpected, or just somehow unmanageable. So when we look within, to identify your why in education, it is a deep reflection exercise because you have to keep asking, is that it? What more? Why? Why do I think that? Why do I think that? And you go down multiple levels until you get to the real reason that you are an educator. And once you're there, you have the glorious opportunity to actually write your personal mission statement about your career, about your impact. What is the ideal impact that you want to have on your students' lives? And that's the tricky thing. It's not delayed gratification. Teachers often do not have any concept of how much they've influenced a student because the student soaks it in. Maybe it percolates, things coalesce. They learn something different the following semester, the following year, and then these things build on top of each other. And whether they're going to learn that the world is a safe place and it's okay to be wrong and it's okay to struggle. I mean, what greater lesson could there be? Like, that is the lesson that you can figure it out, right? Or at least for me, that is definitely the lesson. And so once you've got this gorgeous, you've engaged in the deep self-reflection, you really understand your why. Like, why did you do this? Why are you still doing this? You don't have to still be doing this. Would changing careers be difficult? Maybe, sure. But it's still doable. And it's often the ability of recognizing that we do have a choice. That's the juice. That's what makes us take that breath and if you really feel trapped in your position currently, just do a thought exercise. What if? What if you changed subjects, schools, counties? What if you moved somewhere else? What would that look like? Don't come up with all of the no's. That's the inner critic saying, batting away everything because change is scary and bad. That's our lizard brain, because change means you're going to be, tossed out of the tribe and eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. But in this instance, well, you've already got a job, you've already got a career. So why are you in it? What is your mission statement? What do you want the students to feel because of interacting with you, because of being educated by you? You are inviting them into this knowledge, and it's hard. There's a lot of posturing. Students are just allergic often to show their appreciation. They're not used to having trusted advisors, counselors, people who want to teach them. And that is a gorgeous gift that you can give. And you can also, once you have your mission statement, align your daily actions with those core values. You identify the why, you've got your core value, you've got your mission statement. So, all right, direct your own movie. Who's going to play the part of you? That's fun. Get some casting. And then how does that actor behave in these situations? What movie would you be heartwarmed to see when this situation occurs? Visualize what the movie would show and how things will go. Because visualization is useful not only in the sports arenas, but in our daily lives. It is a very powerful mindset tool and a mindfulness tool. And when you have your top 5 educational values. Arbitrary number, you pick the number of educational values, 2, 3, 4, 5, a dozen, whatever they are. All right, do a little self audit of your current teaching practices. Does it jive? Where do you feel there might be a disconnect? These are thought exercises. Thinking's free, you know? And you can create strategies so that you embody your core values daily when you're with the students, when you're with the administrators, when you're with your colleagues. How do you elevate? How do you become an ally? How do you forge friendships and friendly bonds and camaraderie? What are the positive things that you want to bring to the table in your work? Everyone goes to work. Well, if even if you work inside the home, everyone's got stuff to do, and we get to choose how we show up. What other people do, that's on them. How we respond, that's where we show who we are. Okay? And I alluded to this before, but really embrace the role you have. You're a life changer. You're not just an instructor. You change these people's lives because you're involved with them in their younger years. They're still convoluted. They have all these digital distractions. There is so much that people need to be focused on, especially young people, that it's not even on their priority list. And so, how are you going to shift your perspective from teaching your subject to empowering your students, to getting them to be curious, critical thinkers, to see the logic, to follow the rules of the logic, to pick out the motifs in the writing, to understand what resources are available in the world? Because this is, you're getting there. This is where people really do learn. And whatever posturing happens in the classroom, then they're off looking it up on their cell phone. There is more curiosity than we see. And when people are young, that's a really difficult time because they don't know how the heck to live. They're still figuring it out. And as we all know, there's a lot of adults who haven't figured it out either. But by choosing your perspective and developing your personal bank of stories of transformative teaching moments, you get to tell yourself these stories. I highly advocate with everyone I work with, audit your thoughts. What story are you telling yourself? Interesting. Is it true? Oh, maybe, maybe not. If I'm filling in the blanks for any other person, there's no guarantees there because people are not simple. There's all the shades and nuances and veins of different thoughts, personality traits, and characteristics that mean that you may know me and this is how I am, but I could be thinking something that doesn't jive with that. Perhaps there's something you don't know about how I live, grew up, what influences I experience daily. What do I feed myself in my mind? Well, you're feeding your students, which is really pretty darn cool, because you are the person who can make or break a student's not just academic success, but personal success. What if you could find something positive about every student in your classroom? What does that look like? Maybe the over talker is charming and funny. And you get to set your intentions to create breakthrough experiences with any of your students, including the over talker, including the ones who can't sit still. Hi, guilty of that for sure. And I was lucky enough to have teachers that balanced out the ones that thought I was a bad kid by playing to my strengths, by letting me do side projects, by letting me, work with other students on something that I was good at. And just don't ever downplay your impact on these students because you are doing one of the most amazing jobs in the world. And classic in the United States, you're underfunded, you're overstretched, and there are just too many things to have going on. Sometimes it feels like a fantasy to put yourself first, to prioritize your self care and to make something work well in your classroom with all of the curriculum restraints, the administrative constraints, check this box, fill that out, pass this standardized test. And you have to do it anyway. What if you found a way to make it fun? What if you developed the characteristics of a leader so that your students were engaging with you? They appreciated your charisma, your animation, your powerful font of knowledge, and you get to teach them. Oh, okay. I don't know the answer to that. Let's find out. What does researching it look like? Okay, you're going to put something in Google, but what's coming up? What's the source? Is it from a university or is it from the National Enquirer or from somebody's blog? Because I can write whatever insanity I want on my blog and it can come up in a hit on a search. That's not necessarily true. It's how I think and see things, but it's an opinion. What is the difference between fact and opinion? Truly. Because some people speak with great authority and it just sounds like, yep, that's true. Well, is it? Not to descend into questioning every single thing. We don't have to get totally philosophical here. Yet, we do get to show others how to be curious and how to satisfy our curiosity. So, once you've discovered your why, once you're, being mindful and intentional and making sure that, how you're teaching aligns with your core values and you recognize that you are a person in a position to change lives, then, okay, let's take this self audit a little further. What are your unique strengths in the classroom? Do a SWOT analysis. That's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You identify them. My strengths are this, this, this. Oh, I could use some support in blah, blah, blah. Ah, here's how I can take advantage of yada, yada, yada. And these are the things that threaten my ability to teach, to instruct in a way that aligns with my core values. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. How can you leverage your strengths to even out your weaknesses? Do you have a signature teaching style? What are the different methods that you haven't tried? Maybe try them out. Experiment. You can even tell the class, this is the experiment I'm trying. And you get feedback from the students, from your peers. If you have a mentor, if you don't, please find one. People who are where you want to be. Maybe they still enjoy teaching after all so many years of doing it. Maybe they have a certain spark or just something that really collides with your sense of how to operate in the world. And when you're developing your signature teaching style, it's a development process. You're going to refine, you're going to hone, you're going to change and grow as you're developing your unique approach that will connect in to your core beliefs, your mission statement, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. And while you're at it, take your passions and let them become powerful teaching moments, these learning experiences. What are your personal interests? What expertises do you possess? And outside of teaching, is there a way to incorporate any of that into your lessons? Because if you create cross-curricular connections that excite you, that is going to absolutely excite your students. And that's also going to show them how to think a bit more globally, not just honed in, narrowed in on this one thing, which I know, especially being neurodivergent myself, like I can get pretty darn focused on one thing. Speaking of, let's talk about your learning. We build mental resilience through continuous learning. Maybe you commit to reading an education related journal or book every month. Are there any professional development workshops that are with full engagement where you're actually participating? Interesting. Because not only will that help you develop skills and teach you new things, you're also going to be with other educators who are trying to better themselves. And I mentioned a mentor before. Seek that person out. Do they have any guidance for you to develop and grow, to push your edges out, to cover more ground, to see things in a different perspective? So those are all things that we can do that will maybe reignite the passion and fire that got you into teaching in the first place. Maybe you got into teaching not out of a love for education, but hey, I'll have the same schedule as my kids. It'll make things easier for childcare, etc. Okay, that's cool. Then you love family. You value family. Incorporate that into some of your lessons. And reigniting your passion for education, that is just about reconnecting with your initial inspiration to teach. I am a big proponent of vision boards. What is your vision of your ideal teaching career or administrative career? What passion projects can you implement that excite both you and your students? Draw the parallels. Show them how to think and connect, and develop, just as if you're an entrepreneur, what's your personal brand as an educator? And this can include everything from a color scheme in your classroom to, a flair accessory that the students will identify with you. There are so many ways to brand yourself. And that also goes back to those core concepts and your core beliefs, your mission statement. When you define what sets you apart as a teacher, that's where it gets fun. What is your elevator pitch about your teaching philosophy? How can you explain that in 30 seconds or less? Break it down. Can it be crystallized into one sentence? It's a fun exercise, and it allows you to prioritize what really does define your teaching philosophy. What do you actually believe about teaching, about this flawed educational system? How do you bring teaching into the real world of stress and strife and violence and all the things the students are dealing with, all the things that you are dealing with, all the things your administrators and colleagues are dealing with? And if you consistently embody your brand in and out of the classroom, right? In the teacher's lounge, in the networking events, in the professional workshops that you attend, you are playing that part. That is your role. And you get to define who you are, how you react, and how you move through life. Do you move through it with stress and tension? What if you could handle things with ease and grace? What does that look like for you? Is it more laughing? Is it more empathy? Is it what's lacking to allow you to react in your world in a way that supports your career? And you can be a catalyst for change in your educational community. Absolutely. What is one issue that you'd like to address in your school? And break it down in your classroom with one student. And you develop an action plan for how to affect the change that you see that's needed. And hey, rally your colleagues, get the administrators on board to support your vision. Grassroots it up, rather than having a kvetch session, talk about your passion project. See if anyone else shares that interest. What do they think about it? Be curious. So, focusing on what power you have in your career and in your classroom, at your desk, doing all of the things as an educator, when you bring it back to those core values, to your brand, to that mission statement, your elevator pitch, 30 seconds of what you see as your teaching philosophy, then there you go. You are that. You are ironclad. I would love it. If this resonates with you, please subscribe. Throw a review. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.